Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
Welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers. Class is officially back in session, and we are here for another guest speaker episode. And I am so excited to have a pioneer of Boston, the hip hop scene. So excited to have M-Dot with us today, an absolute legend. M-Dot, how you doing today, man?
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, thank you for being here, man. This is really great. I'm so, like I said, I'm thrilled and honored to have you on the show. This is really kind of a dream come true for us, and having you on here. You have a very illustrious history. You've worked with a lot of different artists, specifically like Method Man. You've worked with, just recently you worked with Pete Rock on The Atonement, which is one of our favorite songs that we've heard this year, especially from the hip hop scene. What did it kind of mean for you to work with a legendary producer like Pete Rock?
I'm still tripping. Like it's special for me, man. I'm a fan of hip hop, like, forever. So Pete Rock was, man, it's Pete Rock for me. It's crazy. I have the original cassettes. I have the vinyl. Yeah. So we met in Switzerland. He was doing a show, he was doing one of the shows on our tour stop, and shoutouts to Meta P. They were kicking it like after the show, talking like tons of music and stuff. And he had my vinyl, and he showed Pete the vinyl, and Pete was like, Molly's on here, and he saw like the production we had, and he's like, we talked a little bit, and when I got home, I had emailed him, and I didn't really hear anything, and then like I think it was like a year, like that's how long the process took, maybe like 6, 7, 8 months. He just sent me over some beats, so I still got some more in the email, so we'll see.
I love that. So you said you mentioned you met him in Switzerland, and you've done quite a bit of traveling. I know in your most recent video that you just dropped for Another Day, which I love, by the way, and it's super cool that you were able to take a different spin on it, really direct. I know you directed it and edited it and everything like that, and I feel like that's potentially something new for you to do. And basically that whole video is just you kind of going out and doing a bunch of shows. And obviously it's something right now that we're not really able to do right now with given the state of the world with COVID, and, the music industry is kind of in flux in terms of live music. So talk to me a little bit about the video, and also just with, you in general, you touring the world. Like, maybe what's one of your favorite places you went, and, talk to me a little bit about touring.
So that whole video was like, I was sitting there, and it was like the entire July that we had booked for festivals, actually in Switzerland, in the Netherlands, Holland, and it all got canceled, and I was just, I was trying to like spin a negative into a positive, and I was like, I miss being on the road. I'm so happy that I have this extra time with the kids and the family. And like I was saying to you previously, it's not like an industry artist where I'm on tour buses for 6 months. It's only like, a couple tours a year, and it's probably 3-4 weeks, at a time, and that's it. And I do really enjoy the time with my friends, because that's who I go with. I don't just go with artists that ask me or offer me money. Hey, can I go on tour with you? I want to be with the people that I've, grown up with, that I consider like my actual brothers, who I want them to experience this, so I'll say to the promoter to bring 1 or 2 of them, and then basically I was sitting there, and I was like, how can I want people to see what we have on the road, So I was like gathering our best show clips. That's the truth of it. Like, I was getting like crazy shots of like big crowds and them into it, because it's not, every show is not like that, but I wanted people to see how cool it is. And also, while I was making it, I was like, what record would go good with this? And we had done a song, Another Day, while I was on tour in Switzerland, in Core, Switzerland. And, Geese, who did the beat, did an awesome beat, and I was able to talk about, like how you have to drink honey and tea for me every day with the voice and stuff, and how I'm missing my family, and how, I haven't slept in like, literally 2 days, and I'm taking a flight, and it all seems like a party, but it's not. There is fun stuff, and it's the memories, but like by the time we get there and do sound check and perform and then get up and shoot the video and record a song and then go to the next stop, it's work, because I'm trying to do as much as I can when I'm there. But anyways, long story short is, when I thought of that stuff, I thought of that song, and I was on my phone. We've had a lot of time during this whole lockdown, or even being in the house more, and I was like, I want to make this video, so I was finding all these old clips, man. And it's a pain editing stuff on your phone, man. Like, I swear to God, like, with your fingers and stuff. But yeah, so I edited on my phone. Shouts to Victor, who shot it. DJ Workside made the ratio for YouTube. But like, yeah, I edited all those clips together. It wasn't that difficult, but I wanted them to match the things I was saying in the song. And that record we shot a video for in Switzerland with one of the dopest artists ever, this dude Bane. Shout out to Bane. Amazing artist, like does paintings on skyscraper, like huge, 20-story buildings, like murals on them. And he shot the video, and you could see in the video, this is actually like a cool little backstory, him shooting that video on a couple scenes. He has the camera and stuff, but he hasn't had time to edit it. So since he's doing it as a homie, it's not like, he's not doing it on a budget. He hasn't finished it, so that's not the reason. I just mean he has other stuff he has to finish for work, but I wanted to finish it. So I was like, you know what, I'll finish this. So that's it. And I wanted people to see the good stuff on the road. I wanted people to smile right now, because I feel like I don't know when we'll perform again.
I know. It's one of those things where, it's just all up in the air right now. And the music industry is definitely hurting, artists for sure. I mean, that's like a source of income for a lot of artists is the touring. So going back to some of the things that you said, I thought it was even cool, like how you, like at the very end, you put some, like, just you guys screwing around in the hotel and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it brought a smile to my face. So I think that was
the goal. I wanted levity. I wanted people to see, like I said, if you listen to the record, which I know you did, I just meant like, it's talking about like that everyone wants to go, but like every one of my homies who's come the first 2 days, they lose their voice and they're dead, right. So, and they'll all attest to it, meaning like, it becomes work, especially since we have to. I'm not going to miss something. They put me on the schedule to do the show. It's a luxury for me to be paid and flown or whatever. It's a luxury for me to be doing something that I love. So I want to make sure I show up on time. I want to make sure I'm there at sound check. I don't want to miss a dinner that they made us, because it's an honor for them to come, for us to come to their venue in their country, But yes, I don't, we say something, we do it. Even with the whole COVID thing, we still did, I think, 3 shows. I even still went to Europe in early March with everything. America didn't have any cases yet, but I still went there because I wanted to keep my word, and we were fine. We were safe, like my family's healthy, but I left when it got bad, as we talked about. But I was in Cologne, Germany, and I was in between shows, and I'd stopped to do some music with my homie DJ Mech. And I had a show in Estonia that weekend, and it was like a Wednesday that I had this day in between shows that I was doing, like, just other music while on the road. Like I said, if I'm away from my family, I want to make sure I come back with a ton of music, not just the shows, not just, the compensation. I want to have like videos and songs. That's the stuff we're releasing. That's the stuff that keeps coming out, is the stuff that we've stacked up. Yeah.
But you're staying here.
Give me a kiss.
You're staying
You say hi? I love you. She's going out. I love you. You going out? She's going out herself. No, I'm only kidding. No, but she is going out with her mom. I'll see you guys soon. Yes. So, what was I talking about? Cologne. Yeah. So I was in Cologne, and Snow Goons hit me up, messaged me saying that the German, president or whatever had made an announcement that they were shutting borders, and that they had already alluded to, like, Trump was going to do the same. So I booked a flight out for the next morning, So
Yeah.
I was scared, man. I thought I was gonna get usurped, like I said, about like by somebody else who's higher up, or you know, like I didn't know what was gonna happen. I never seen anything like it. You know, I'm in another world, and I don't know. And the same day that the Trump did the shutdown, Tom Hanks had it, and the NBA was shut down, and the NHL was shut down, and I was like, and again, I wasn't worried about me personally getting it, but I didn't want. It just felt like Babylon, you know, like I was worried about like just people, my family, getting back to them, you know, like before everything hit the fan, you know.
For sure. Yeah. But and like for you, it's probably like it's interesting because like you're going out there to, like I said, work and like, you know, work, but you know, enjoy yourself and you know, but also, you know, try to reach your fans so I feel like it's awesome that you have a great international fan base. Is that kind of the case? Do you guys have a good international fan base?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, you know, there's plenty of shows that we do there that it's like, you know, it's like anything. It's like we get there and they're still, you know, they're not as savvy to the music, and we still gotta earn and, you know, work and get more of an audience, you know. Like I don't think it's enough ever, you know, like meaning like there's still people who don't know, and that's why we keep doing it. That's why I told you it's like, you know, like it's a marathon. Nipsey said it best, and you know, that's what it is. You just got to keep making the best. You got to worry about making the best music possible, you know.
When M-Dot here says we, he means EMS, which is experimental mind state.
So Rev, Core, Mayhem, Benefit, Desco, Undo. That's right, and I'm 7. And then DJ Works Hard. And then we have so many DJs, you know. Shout out to DJ Decepta. Shout out to Clash's Clay. I don't want to miss anybody, man. There's so many dudes in our crew. Shout out to the extended crew like Destruct, you know, and yeah, there's so many, man. We're blessed. Meta P, who always comes on tour with me, Lateb, you know.
Yep, I've heard some stuff with Tab. You guys have that song up and away.
Yeah.
Digging a lot. I love that song. And so it's interesting though. The first time I really like got onto the EMS as a whole, because I'd heard your name, I've listened to your music like way back. But the first time I saw you guys all as a collective and came on to you guys was actually your Rapscallions video, which if I'm not mistaken, did you guys shoot that international?
Yeah, that was shot in Germany. Shout out to Agent Dan on the beat. But that's what we do. So we had a show in Mannheim, and we are Ludswick Haven, which is next to Mannheim.
Yeah.
I'm sure I butchered it, but we had that show, and the next day we shout out to JP too. JP, another one of our DJs. But the next day we wrote that song. You know what I'm saying? We went in the studio, recorded that song, and then, you know, we shot that video, and then I went to the next stop. You know what I mean? Like, so that video was a video on tour. Like, and like I said, we're hustling. We rock the show. We record the music, we do the video, and then we leave, and then that video comes out months later. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, and I'm hands-on with everything. Like I said, you know, like I'm helping with the mix, I'm helping with the video editing. I want to be a part of it all. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, in my opinion, I'm never going to be happy with it unless I'm somewhat connected, you know?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, not only as a vocalist though, too, because I mean, that is kind of your calling card, and as a songwriter and a vocalist, but you do dabble in production a little bit too, don't you?
Yeah, I just started during quarantine.
Yeah, that's interesting though. I love that though. It's kind of a testament to, you know, this time. It's like, if you're not trying to pick up new skills, like you said, you were doing video editing, something you haven't done.
Yeah. I want to do silver lining of this whole thing is like, I wanted to utilize the time. You know, it was on my list of things to do. And yeah, man, I'm still learning. You know, I'm still like growing every day, but I'm producing, and I really, really like it, you know, like, and I'm getting hit up by people, and I'm sending beats to people, and a lot of big artists. You know, we'll see when the record drops. I've already given some beats because I have a network as an MC, you know? So yeah, it's going good, really good. Like, cause it's just, for me, it was just meditation. Like you know, COVID was tough, man. I lost a lot of shows. I lost a lot of tours, but I had to make the best of it. I had to do something else. I had to add something. I had to adjust. You know what I mean? So
I think the big theme with COVID, especially, I think is the big word that I've been using a lot is adapt or adaptation, right?
Yeah,
how can you adapt what you're already doing and kind of, you know, even with us, like, you know, we've thought about this a lot too with like our show. It's like, how can we adapt and improve what we're doing given the time frame, you know, given what we have. And like, you know, before we were having people in studio to do these interviews. Now it's like we had to adapt. We had to switch up and we had to do them over Zoom and things like that. But things are working out even so. Like, and we're learning new skills, like you said, like editing and things like that.
You have to,
right?
Silver lining, man. Like, it's like, I can't perform right now, so I'll produce, you know, I can't, you know, like adapting is, you know,
is so key. You're absolutely right. So one of the things that I really like about you and like a lot of things we have in common is not only are you a hoops player, which we'll get to a little while, but you're an English major, which I am too. That's what I teach. I teach English. And so it's pretty interesting to me because like obviously hearing some of your albums like Ego and the Enemy, and compilation and things like that. Like I've just noticed over time, you know, you have such, you know, focused subject matter. Your bars are always conscious. Like I always find myself even like having to rewind and like re-listen to certain lines because I'm like, what did he just say? Like, and I always feel like with you too, like, you know, you're not afraid to get political. You're not afraid to get personal and reflective. And like, you always seem like you always deliver your bars with this chip on your shoulder. So I guess,
that's right. Yeah.
My question to you though was like, you know, do you take a lot of pride in like, you know, wearing your thoughts and feelings like on your sleeve, so to speak, within the music? And then also like what really motivates you as like a, you know, a rapper and a storyteller? How is like your English major sort of like helped with that at all? Like I've just kind of noticed on, you know, certain songs like with Chrissy, for example, right? Like
yeah.
Very, you know, that you have a great storytelling there. And then on a song like Dreamscape, you got very introspective with a lot of the imagery and things like that. So talk to me a little bit about like, you know, your writing process and like I said, how the English majors impacted, you know, your writing and things like that.
You know, like anything, man, it's like sharpening a sword, you know, like I actually was in a really good writing, like getting into that zone, making Ego and the Enemy. And it was tears of it, you know, like there was, you know, because it took a while. The writing usually is, believe it or not, it's not a long process. It's just getting into that mental training of being like, you have to sit down and write this song, you know. But the Chrissy song, it's relatable for like anybody who's been around somebody, a girl who's been eaten up, like, you know, like people. It's I always think of like wolves and like, you know, like a figure metaphorically, like people like who see this beautiful girl and they just use her up, you know what I mean? Drugs, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, you know, sex, and she's down to nothing. And that's what Chrissy was, is so many people that we grew up with getting lost down that path, trying to be, you know, an Instagram model nowadays, or like, you know, some type of Hollywood success. And they're getting off track because of people that are offering them stuff, whether it be money or, you know, like I said, some form of narcotics, or like, you know, just opportunities. And it's sad because like I said, we know those people. That's what Chrissy was. Chrissy's that girl that it was beautiful in high school that you see 10 years later. And like, she was like out of your league, and you see her 10 years later and she's coming up to you on the corner asking if she can borrow some money. And it's because she didn't have that self-confidence, or she lost her way, you know, and the world ate her up. It's an ugly world, man. That's something that people are seeing right now, but it's whether or not you can see past that, see, you know, through all that darkness. If you can, you know, if you have the focus, if you have the mind to be like, well, if this is our life, we have to make the best of it. You can get through that. You know, not everyone can. They need help. They need people to like not eat them up and take advantage of them. That's what Chrissy was for me. Buck Wild on the beat, that's a special one. But you know, the Dreamscape was me like being like, you know what, I want to do a story about like mental like where people are lashing out and doing like horrorcore type music. And like, I don't ever talk about shooting people and doing all this stuff. And I was like, I want to like make a record, like a scary movie doing all that type of stuff. And that's the zone I got when Marco Polo sent that beat. That's the first thing I thought of, was doing that type of imagery. And I thought that would be I thought that would be super cool because, like, again, I'm almost mocking that type of music, you know. I'm trying to think of a line in it, but you always said my sales will plummet if I didn't talk about it. Like, talking about, like, you know, like, if I didn't talk about, you know, because I feel like I always feel a chip on my shoulder that we're not like a super image thug rapper, but those dudes respect us more just as much as anybody because we're who we are. That's you know what I mean? Like, I'm also not the spaceship moon's extra conscious either. I'm who I am on every record. I talk about my life, I talk about my family, I talk about breakups. And like we've had our trials and tribulations when I was a kid, but I don't want to talk about like that stuff. I don't want to talk about fights. Like, no, meaning like I don't want to glorify like the mistakes I made. I want to talk about how I've learned from them and how I'm better now. Like, a real OG wants to, like, you know, improve his life, and they're proud of where they've become. They don't want to get back to that mentality where they're still there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, like, we've had our, you know, Boston, before it was the Boston Calling, it was the Bum Festival. Like I was telling you, after the show, I have video footage where, like, I was fighting with two different cops who like hit me after I was trying to give CDs to the crowd. They were saying I was causing like a, you know, a melee or chaos or something. And I never put out that footage. And, you know, we were in cuffs outside and we were fighting like cops, you know, and all the hood sites were hitting me up asking for that footage. We never put that out because I'm not trying to glorify that. My kids, I don't want my kids being like, that's what, you know, but at the end of the day, it's something that sells records. Sadly, that's what, you know, so that's what Dreamscape was, is taking, you know, time to be like, you know, we can do those songs too. I just don't do them all the time. That's not I don't want to be boxed into just that, you know?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And I think you bring up a good point too. It's like, that's how I feel about you in your bars and the way that you tell these stories. You're coming from a very real place where it's like, you know, these things have happened to me, or I've seen them happen, and they do happen. But let's, like you're saying, let's not glorify them. Let's not make this seem like be the norm, but like, let's also not ignore that they happen as well. Like, let's look at it from a different lens. Let's look at it from a lens of, like, you know, what can we kind of learn about this? Like, what message does this send to, you know, the greater society and things like that? Like, that's really what I took with like a song
100%.
like Chrissy specifically. Like, I feel like if somebody, you know, it doesn't even have to be a woman. It could be anybody, but anybody that's struggling with like who they are and like you know, if they've gone down a path that they might not want to be down, you know what I mean? Like how does that, like, what is that, you know, mentality? Like, how did you get there? What does that mentality look like to get out of it? Like, there's certain things to take away from your music. And that's why I respect a lot of what you've done over the years, because, you know, it's not like you don't make exactly, you know, what you hear on the mainstream radio, but you guys have still found a way, EMS just as a whole, you guys as a collective, and you specifically as a solo artist, you've been able to stay relevant, you know, in this time, despite all of those things, you know, kind of going against the grain in a sense. And I love that about you guys. That's one of the big draws that I've had to your music.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, you know, it's being who I am that like gets us so much further. If you meet somebody, that's why it's weird because I always say it to everyone. My generation was like, we were before the internet, but we were also during the internet. Like, these kids now are only born into the internet. Does that make sense? Like, and like when I say before internet, meaning like I didn't have my phone all the time in high school. I didn't have, like, you know, social media, and I'm not even that old where it's like, I just simply mean that like now the information is so much and the music is so boom, 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 boom. I came from an era where like I thought that classics were so much more important than just, you know, quantity over quality. I believe in that in my heart and soul. And I believe being yourself, being who you are is the most important thing when it comes to that type of stuff. Because like I said to you before, when we've built relationships, we've built, you know, built years of doing it, at least I feel, the right way by stacking up a network of people that we've been ourselves to. We didn't follow the trend. We didn't do what we kept on doing what we wanted to do. and we put our full effort into making the best quality music and treating people right. And like I told you, that the people that might, and more power to them, but the people that do a lot of the stuff with lies or trend or bullshit or whatever, they have less of, like, when we fall back, we'll fall here. When they fall back, they'll fall all the way back because they don't have any ground to stand on. You know what I'm saying? So like, we've been this way for so long. Consistency, the marathon, like I told you, being yourself. That's the easiest thing in the world, but the hardest thing in the world for so many people. Just being who you are. Like, people respect that so much more. It's so much more fascinating, you know?
Yeah.
Our path is just a longer path. That's all it is. But the music, you know, and I it's just, I'm not trying to brag, but it's undeniable because I know how much effort we put into making sure that it's quality, you know? It might not be for you, but it's not, I know it's not whack, you know?
Absolutely. No, for sure. And like, I actually like this sentiment because, you know, I feel like sometimes the longer path the harder path is sometimes the right one to take. You know what I'm saying?
Rewarding. It's more rewarding.
Rewarding, exactly. Because, you know, you're not just kind of jumping on the next trend, and because trends tend to cycle, right? So if you yourself and you do exactly what you guys do
at a high level, you know, it's gonna,
right. You guys have built this foundation and you've done it for a long time, and it's really like it's commendable, but it's also like your fans are going to respect that so much more, and they're going to side with you for that because they know what to expect from you. They know you're not going to switch because the industry switched. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's going to be, yeah, absolutely.
It's okay. It's okay to adjust. It's okay to adapt if you're still being sincere with that. You feel it. You know, people can hear that in the music. And yes, stuff like, you know, that's doing little trends or whatever, that's cool. If that's what they feel like, and you could feel it, you know, but if they're just doing it for a buck, that's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? I learned that from Gangstar. I learned that from, you know, coming up and watching heads like adjust. You know, I saw Master Ace. He like, you know, built a whole new career. His second career was in the underground, you know, after having major success in the industry, but he had adapted, you know, instead of doing the bullshit industry stuff. When stuff started to change, he adjusted and made like great albums in the underground. You know what I mean? Like that's what I really admire. I want to make the best music I can. And then, like I told you before, obviously there's a small bit of nepotism, but I believe in my crew and my family. I believe in them like I believe in anybody, you know, like, meaning like I told you this before. I don't care if you're a mid-level rapper. If there's a million rappers, if you're offering the fact that you're a good person, that you work hard, that you want to grow, that you can do other stuff, that you do graphics, that you know, whatever it is, you're already higher to me than some name rapper or somebody that's above. Like that person, there's room for growth, and they can get past that person who's getting stagnant, regardless of their name. Build within. And that doesn't mean that you can't add to the roster. I just mean, you know, I don't want to look at anything else outside of us. I want to keep blinders on and worry about being the best we can be, because then we can make the best music, and then everything will come to us. You know, that's some real shit.
No, that is 1,000%. And like, and again, I think that's part of why you guys have had the staying power you've had. And like, I mean, you've worked with some pretty big artists. I mean, you've worked with Method Man. Like I said, like we said a little earlier in this episode, you know, you've worked with Pete Rock. So talk to me a little bit too about, I know we kind of went into this a little bit, but like, how has the industry, in your opinion, like for better or for worse, like how has it changed like during your career as an artist?
Before I say that, I just want to say, like, we have so much more to do. As much as I've done, like, I'm always like, that's what I mean. The marathon, the growth, this stuff, like, you know, as much as like, as much success as I've been lucky to have, you know, as I've like, you know, experienced with my crew, there's so much more for us to do, for me to ever feel any bit. And I'm sure even then I want more to any bit of, you know, contentment. And even then I don't think I'll feel, you know, I have a chip on my shoulder that we've always been, yeah.
You have to keep that.
And you have to use it, you know, like, and I've always felt like we're overlooked no matter what we do. And that's just a mental thing too. I place that in front of me, you know what I'm saying? And like, okay, so, you know, how has it changed since I've been in it? I've watched it. I mean, I've watched it completely change from, you know, when I'm looking at old pictures of the baggy era to like now I wear tighter clothes for sure, you know.
Yeah.
But like as far as, you know, sonically, I think the underground, I don't even call it really, it's like, you know, just hardcore hip hop, which I associate myself with. I think that well, just hip hop in general, like the word hip hop, but like liking boom bap beats and conscious words. I think that that's coming back again, which is wild because you can see it with the whole Renaissance and like with a lot of that. People were saying the drumless music and stuff. You could hear a lot of hardcore rappers doing that type of music. It doesn't have to be drumless. That's not. I have no qualm about anything, you know, like that with that type of stuff, as long as it's dope, you know. But that music, the whole Griselda movement, is showing that hip hop is coming back full circle. You know what I'm saying? And that is a good sign for us. But I've seen it shift when it shifted to the trap, which the South took over for like, you know, it feels like 10 years, you know? Yeah. And, but that I have seen, but the one thing more than anything else I've seen is a level playing ground, which is wild. Meaning like you're seeing industry level artists now kind of in the underground and putting out an album a month or something crazy. And you don't even know, you're like, oh, this is like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's less, it's more people just putting out music, like albums like singles, you know? So that's one thing I've seen drastically change where like, you know, it used to be, you can make a quality album and tour off that album for a couple of years. And now it's like, they want constant content. You know, I've been building a project for 3 years now. And when I say 3 years, I just mean like I'm doing other stuff, touring, working on other projects, you know, releasing singles, doing features, producing now, you know, and doing other stuff. But I've been working and taking my best music and putting it on this project that the Atonement is on with Pete Rock, you know?
Heck yeah. And so that actually segues into a good thing. So what are you working on right now? You said so you're working on, is it Ego and the Enemy too? Is that what we're
Yeah. So I'm looking at the board right now. It's a Dissolute Paradise, and man, I haven't even really discussed like the production on this like too much, but it's the Pete Rock track was the first single. Method Man's back again.
Let's go.
You know, like it's just I mean that's crazy. You can't Method Man like you know, Black Milk is producing on it. Apollo Brown is producing on it. Ill Mind, Eric
Brown guy.
Yeah, me too. Eric Sermon is like for me Ego and the Enemy had a real lot of success. I mean just like the reviews of like the Boston Herald and the Boston Globe and like publications that I respect. Not that reviews always mean anything, but like, you know, they had it in the top albums of the year. And I had a lot of pressure mentally where I'm like, I want to make this album better than that. So I think the writing is better. I think the mixing is better. I had to talk the production somehow. And the production, the first one had High Tech and Buck Wild and Molly Ma, you know, and it's just like, yeah, it's Crisis, who produced for, you know, Rhapsody and so many, and Large Professor. You know, now this one has Pete Rock and, you know, like I said, Eric Sermon and Black Milk, and Ill Mind is amazing too. But I stacked these beats, like Ill Mind, you know, I got that beat like maybe 8-9 years ago from him before he was doing music for Jay-Z and the movie Moana, you know?
Yeah.
M-Phases produced Eminem's first song on Marshall Mathers 2, Marshall Mathers LP 2, which a couple, 3-4 years or whatever it was. He produced the first song on that. I stacked that beat from him like 9 years ago, you know, like I saved it. Like I wanted people, you know, I wanted to put it out, you know, like when I had more eyes on me. But I don't think there's not a lot of features on this project. Method Man, you know, I think Rev's on it, but that's you know,
a lot of your albums though. I mean, you have had like on Compilation, you had a little more features than Ego and the Enemy.
Well, Compilation is just like a compilation of records, like that I had singles, and I put that CD out just for Hip Hop Camp, like the festival, and then now I'm kind of like putting it on Bandcamp and stuff, but it's just a collection of songs. Like Ego and the Enemy, and this one will be like albums. But no, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's not. I don't want to have a ton of features. Like I used to love doing feature songs on mixtapes and stuff, but not for albums. For albums, I want a conscious thought process of like, a concentrated effort,
Yes, 1,000%. And I love all the producers you're bringing in here. Like I'm excited. Like I'm excited for Paulo Brown, Il Mind, like all the ones you just listed off.
Brother,
I'm like,
I don't even know what to do. I'm scared to like release. Like I'm scared to like release an album and not have these all have individual pushes because I want every one of those records heard. The one with Eric Sermon's about basketball, and that's the whole, and that's the one that I really want you to hear because it breaks down the whole basketball trajectory, So
yeah, so you were an athlete. It's interesting because I kind of get like this too, where it's like I want every single one of like whatever episode I'm working on, I want it to be so much better than the last one.
Absolutely,
It's like a competitive thing with myself. I think like that's an athlete's perspective. You know what I mean? Like
you only verse yourself. Ego and the Enemy. You only verse yourself. That's it. Nothing else matters. Nothing. No meaning for your happiness. Like. So if you're doing it for the art and to have enjoyment, then that's all there is making sure you're competing with your ego and the enemy, Sports, I tell everybody, that's what helped me as a kid. It teaches you that if you bust your ass, that you can get success. If you work hard, and it teaches you, like losing, it teaches you, it helped me so much with being competitive and knowing if I put the work in, then I'll see rewards, and even if I put the work in, it might not happen. I need to go harder. And even if, it's just, you keep reaching, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how I feel.
It does teach you a lot of humility, like you said as well. Like
yes.
Because you're not going to win every game. It's just the reality of the situation. You're not going to.
Absolutely not. And that's, you just said it, and then if you did, when you lose, it's going to teach you, wow, this is like, oh, like you're gonna be broken because you're like, how do I deal with this? That's why I'm a little scared for the newer generation where the kids are like, everything's a reason or an excuse. Like, I'm trying to prove that you could do anything. Yeah,
I see that with the kids that I teach and coach as well. It's like a lot of them are like afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah, and they blame other stuff or they.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not my father. And I think of him as like, my hero when it comes to like work ethic. And he's not his father who never missed a day of work ever, like 80 years or whatever it was, like literally even when he was like, not 80 years, he was like 70. How old did he pass? Like 70, 75 or whatever. But he worked every day up until like the last year of his life. You know what I'm saying? He worked on Christmas, and he would come home with the camera, shoot a little bit, then go back to work. So that's how I've been built, like that. I wanna, like I look up to him and he looked up to his pops about putting in the work, and like, I can still do music and have like, so it's a trade-off. So some rap, there's two types of rappers I've always noticed. And then there's the people in the middle that I feel like I am, but there's a rapper who, has a family, has a real job and falls back. And he's Al Bundy. He's like, I used to be a rapper and, whatever. He's Al Bundy where he's talking about his rap career, but he wants to have the house and the family, which we all do. And then there's the other rapper who sacrifices that shit, chases it, and neglects his family. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, meaning like he's just not, like a lot of these rappers aren't good people. They're chasing money and they're not making enough money off it. Like I would never just do rap. Even if I made a lot of money, I would go crazy being like, I have to make records just to make money. I have to do other stuff. My brain doesn't work that way where I can be content with just making money off of that. Like I have to do other stuff. I'm in the middle where I'm able to juggle it, where I can do music, where I can be a dad at home, where I can be a family man, where I can make sure that they have money, they have food, but I'm not just chasing music and I'm not falling back and doing the home life, you know what I mean? So there was a sacrifice, like I wanted to I wanted to get a crib sooner. You know, I wanted to do all that stuff, but like it was a balance. Like my other homies like chose to do the full-time career working, you know, and you know, like I'm juggling it, you know.
Oh, for sure. No, you and I kind of built very similarly, and I know you. So, are you Italian by chance? Are you coming from like an?
Yeah. My mom's an Italian citizen too, so I'm full blood. Yo.
Wow. Yeah, I'm only half, but
Still.
still, yeah. But I think it's like even so, it's like the maybe just the mentality of like, because for me personally, like my Italian side of the family, like they came here as immigrants, and it was one of those things. It was like it's that immigrant mentality of like, you know, you just kind of just try to, you just don't stop working. It's like this work ethic where you just like, it's almost addictive. And same thing with me, like, you know, I'm doing so many different things too. Like I teach, I coach, and I do this podcast. It's like, and I can't, for me, it's like impossible to be able to just like do one of them. Like I don't think I ever could, you know what I mean? Like for me, I would have to at least be doing two of them, if not all three. Like I am that same type of person where like I have to be doing all these things because
you have to.
It means something to me, and it's like, and I see fulfillment out of it, and
it's fulfilling. Yes,
it is, and it's you know, and it is funny. Like I kind of like I learn certain things within doing one of them, and then I kind of I can actually take, you know, that mentality potentially and use it with the other. It's like, so I'm constantly thinking about, you know, how they all kind of intertwine in a sense too. So it really is that, again, like that mindset, like you're mentioning, just the, you know, having that chip on your shoulder and understand and but not having it to the point where, you know, it's going to hinder you by any sense, and not making excuses for yourself. And when you being humble when you win, but also having some humility when kind of like understanding that, you know, that's just the way the world is. It's the way the world works. Like we're not, a lot of us with this coronavirus thing, a lot of us lost. We all had to take a loss. But we will win again. You know what I'm saying? Like in our own,
you can still win on this. You can still, no excuses. Meaning you can find good in everything. And listen, you have no disappointment if you have no expectations. If it's all on you, if you're not relying on anybody else, I say this too all the time. I'm producing, I'm mixing, I'm editing, I'll do whatever it is. And then it's just on me, you know? So if the product isn't good or if it's not, so my headaches come from when I, you know, am expecting anyone to do something for me, and that's the problem. Meaning, like, if like they need to finish mixing it, when that video wasn't getting done, I was like, I want to figure it out. I'll do it. You know, like when I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like, you know, I just, there's no excuses if you put it all on yourself. You know, it's a lot of work. People don't want to put in that work. So
but like you said, it's more fulfilling at the end of the day when you
100%
in front of you. And so while ego and the enemy too, I guess we're looking out for that. So is there like are we expecting that anytime soon? Or are you just kind of still work in progress? Or
so
like, I loved the first, and I like I've said it to you a little bit before. I found the way that you were able to stay sort of relevant with some of the times, like with just the sonic appeal of it. So I thought that was awesome. But again, you're bringing like the more storytelling and conscious bars, and with the production, like, you know, you use a lot of vocal samples, you use some background vocals, you use like some higher BPM on some of your it was a little bit more different than like the old school traditional boom bap. So like you kind of
it's not just boom bap. We have a lot of musicians on it. We had like people playing instruments and
song I can't remember now, but it literally sounded like it was like live drum, like live instrumentation with live hi-hats and like live drums. Like
the beats I'm making, that's the ones that's what I like, the live drums, you know. But it might be Meow Mix. Shout out to John Glass. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, man, it's I'm working on Ego and the Enemy too. Me and Big Shug have an album that's like almost done. We just have to finish it. Big Sugar Gangsta Foundation, and EMS. We have an album, The Crew. I'm working on an album with Confidence and Jay Farah, the producers. We haven't even delved into that one, but we're in the early stages. They just sent beats over. But me and Big Shug have a bunch of songs recorded. Me and EMS have a ton of songs recorded, and Ego and the Enemy 2 is done. I need to finish recording and mixing 2 songs but like I have like 30 songs recorded, you know, for that album.
Right.
But I'm only gonna use like I don't know, 15, 14, 13, whatever fits.
Whatever.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go in and add instrumentation to everything. I'd like to still produce one on there. Maybe I'll produce the intro because that was like a late, you know, development, me producing, you know. But I just think it would be advantageous for me to showcase production on that, so that people then would maybe hit me up for beats after hearing it, you know. So
Oh, for sure. I think that's a smart move, especially like you
know,
said, you've been doing the production piece of it now, like with quarantine. So that's huge.
Yeah.
On there. That'd be great. I
So
love that.
so that album, we did the first single with The Atonement in February. I had the tour. We were off. Everything was like I had 3 videos lined up: the Apollo Brown video, the Atonement video in Germany. I had these videos lined up. Illmind I was shooting before with my homie in Worcester, Victor Keys, who's amazing. It all fell apart, and now I did. You know, there was like all the racism in the country. There was horrible shit. I didn't want to put out anything. Like selfishly, I didn't want to put out music saying, "Look at me, focus on what I'm doing." Even if the music's conscious, even if the music's talking about the bigotry and stuff, I didn't want to make anything about me. And we're on standstill right now while I'm finishing it, and then hopefully I wanted to tour after it. I don't know. We're not going to be able to, so I'm gonna adapt to that. We'll figure out that, but you know, basically, I need to finish the mixing, and then figure out when, you know, when's a good time to put it out. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying, like, you know, it's all the artists I've talked to, it's really for them. They've all had a different answer for this, but it's more or less just talking about, you know, how, like we've said the word adapt a bunch of times here, but you know, with the lack of touring now, it's like, you know, how do you adapt? Like some artists are doing, like, I know one of the artists I work closely with is working on a short film that's going to coincide with his project.
Sure.
People that are doing like the live stream stuff that's becoming a big thing right now, with whether it's on Instagram Live or Twitch or you know, whatever you're using. So it's really, again, like you said, like thinking a little bit outside the box, getting creative. Even though you had all these plans and they kind of unfold, you know, they kind of, you know, didn't work out the way you wanted them to. It's still, it's going to be like, it's a new challenge. And for me personally, I like a new challenge. I always like challenges. So that for me,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not gonna lie. The writing, I haven't been doing as much writing unless I'm in the studio with my homies, which isn't that often. Or when I'm on tour, I have to push myself to write. I've written 600 songs, so the writing, which normally takes the least amount of time because I just stop and I'm getting in the zone. I haven't had the discipline as much as I'd like. Producing, I've enjoyed because it's such a freedom. You know, like I could do this, I could do anything. I could change the BPM. Writing, I felt a little bit more boxed in, and I wanted to be super creative where it's like, wow, this is better. I don't want to have in like syllables and content. I want to have it all. I don't want to just put words together. And the writing, I haven't been doing as much as I should. That's as sincere as I can be. Like I have a ton of stuff on the board, features I need to finish. You know, I haven't done. I've like still been productive, still producing, like I said, still editing, still, you know, working on like editing videos and stuff like that, but I haven't been writing as much as I should, you know, and I want to. I just need to push myself, you know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that is it. Like trying to push yourself and get yourself
keep going. You know.
So, M-Dot, you've been amazing. You've given us so much amazing content here and insight to kind of your process and things you got going on behind the scenes and everything. This has been so great. And I do have one more question for you. This is my question I ask every artist before we end. And it's called the dream song scenario. Now you're a little different because you have worked with some big names and you've been in the game, and some of the people you're working with on this new album they're up there, and you are a big name in your own right. But again, it's the dream song scenario, and I'll structure it for you. This is kind of how it works. So you get to make a song with anybody, dead or alive.
Wow, dead or alive. Jeez,
dead or alive. All right. Again, you get a producer or a couple producers, depending upon like if you want like a certain like drum pattern from, you know, one producer and like maybe a melodic progression from another, whatever it is, however you want to structure it. So you get a producer or a few. Okay. you get a verse, you get 2 guest verses, and you get a hook. So someone to do the hook and 2 guest verses. So your dream song scenario, I'll give you a few minutes to think about it. Who's on that song?
This is, oh my God. Jeez, man. Like, again, I want to fit the record, you know? I just want to be very clear on that. Tupac's like my favorite rapper ever, but I don't know if I would, I'm not saying I can't. I'm just saying I don't know necessarily how, I don't know if that would be my perfect choice for me making a record that I think would work. And not that we would make it work, but Tupac would be one of my, but for my style, I love Big Pun, dog. Like, I'm like, you know, like, I like that, you know, steadily, readily, better be ready. Like, I would love to work on a record with Pun, and us going back and forth like that.
I've told Rev that he sounds like Pun.
Rev does for sure, and Fat Joe. Rev is the best voice, dog, ever. He's like a monster. So I'd say Big Pun for the rapper. For the production, it would be like, for an industry pick, it'd be Dr. Dre, no question. Alchemist would be another one. Like, I would love to work with Alchemist. Who knows, you know? So we might have something, you know? But, man, singer. So Alchemist or Dre, Big Pun would be the rapper. How dope would it be, like, Dr. Dre, Big Pun, and then, like, for the singer, I'd like, again, I don't know if it would mesh. We'd make it mesh, but I think it would be dope. I picture, like, James Brown or Al Green, maybe Al Green, over, like, a Dre beat with, like, you know, funk in it, like a little funk in it, like the way George Clinton would be dope too. Man, it's too many, but for the final picks, I would say Dr. Dre, you know, James Brown, Big Pun. That would be. I like the Weeknd a lot too, man. Like, a real lot. Like, his voice is like, I love Michael Jackson, and he has like a Michael Jackson with the 80s, which is like my favorite time. Man, there's endless possibilities that you got me thinking, dog.
Right, but that begs the question: what would a Weeknd Dr. Dre song sound like? That would be interesting,
incredible, dog. Like, for me, like, that would be like, I'd buy that record in a second. Like, dog, like, he has so many like his levels he can go with his voice, and man, that would be my pick. Or, you know, so the living would be, or the more modest pick, even though it's not modest, would be Alchemist, Weeknd, and I think Redman. I love Redman, but the passed away would be James Brown, you know, Big Pun, and Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla would be dope. So
we've had Jay Dilla on here before. That's definitely been a pick for sure in the past.
I would sink into a Jay Dilla beat, you know. So sure.
I love it.
There's no question on that one. That one I know. But shoutouts to there's so many amazing artists, man. And, you know, if I can offer one bit of wisdom, like, that I've learned, is just keep going, keep doing what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, make the best music, or make whatever you're doing the best you can make it. Don't make excuses. You know, find ways to make time for it instead of finding ways to be like, I don't have time for it. Same thing with me with the writing that I'm guilty of. And if you're not writing, find something else to do to be creative. I've been drawing, I've been producing. Like I said, find other avenues, because your mind is even if it's not doing that thing that you were doing great before, you can shift that to something else, because you have so much in there that you're capable of that you're not even using, you know? And I find that out every day. I find that out with my kids, watching them, learning from them, you know? But the Cruise EMS,
that's amazing.
The Cruise EMS, and I'm proud of my team. Thank you for having me, man, you know?
No, seriously, thank you for being here and giving us everything you did. You had a teacher line in Fugazi that I forgot to write down. I don't know if you remember it off the top of your head. I don't.
What does it say?
There was a line on Fugazi, and I can't remember what it was, but it had something to do with teaching. And I thought it was like, it's like, I'm the teacher now, or something like that.
I'm the teacher now, you the student.
Yes, I know that was yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the line now.
I've
Just wrote it down.
never performed that, but that's wow, that's like yeah, that's.
I mean, it's on brand. It's on brand with this. That's why I'm bringing it up. But I meant to write it down in my preparation for this, and for some reason I messed up and I didn't write it down. All I wrote down was Fugazi teacher in parentheses, and I'm like, shit,
Yeah.
I forgot to put down the fucking line.
Shout outs to LX being on the beat. That's dope. I met him through my homie Proverb, who passed away. Who's like one of my favorite people. Yeah, man, Jason, Bam Savage. But yeah, that's a good song to talk about.
M-Dot, thank you so much for being here, man. This was a lot of fun, and I'm so excited to see what you got coming up next with EMS and your solo stuff and everything you were talking about. Guys, make sure you follow this man on Instagram, M-Dot Boston, correct? On Instagram?
Yes, yep.
And,
Everywhere, MDOT Boston, all the social medias.
Go stream Ego and the Enemy.
Please.
Number one, it is out on all streaming platforms,
Yep.
and support this man on Bandcamp as well.
Yeah, get something.
Is also on Bandcamp. You know what? Really, before we start, I think more artists need to utilize Bandcamp.
Bandcamp's great. It's great. You get more money. My label, Shoutouts to Workside, they get my Spotify because he put out that project. But I like Bandcamp. Like I can, it's a good distribution for me. Yeah, Layer Cake's on there. There's a bunch of projects on there. But yeah, man, thank you for having me. It's been awesome. I look forward to it.
No, yeah, seriously,
Stay in touch. And another day, another day. The video that we just put out. We're
gonna link all this. Will be linked in the description. All right. So we'll got the Instagram. We got the Spotify, all the Spotify links for the albums. We got the Another Day video, all linked down below in the description of this episode. Whether you're listening to us on YouTube or Spotify or Apple, wherever you are listening to this episode, just hit the links below if you want to hear more M-Dot. And of course, if you are a fan of M-Dot and you are coming on to us for the first time, follow us at Turntable Teachers. Hit up our website, www.turntableteachers.com, for all the latest blogs, interviews, episodes, the whole nine. M-Dot, again, thank you so much for being here. This was fantastic.
No problem, man.
Honor, and I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you, man. My pleasure,
This is Mike, and this is M-Dot with Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.